BBC News with Chris Barrow. President Biden has warned that American democracy is facing its most significant threat since the Civil War, as Republican-controlled states tighten rules on voting. In an impassioned speech, Mr. Biden described the changes, introduced since he defeated Donald Trump, as an assault on liberty which would deny the will of the people.
There's an unfolding assault taking place in America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote, fair and free elections, an assault on democracy, an assault on liberty, an assault on who we are. For make no mistake, bullies and merchants of fear, peddlers of lies, are threatening the very foundation of our country.
The Republican National Committee has insisted that the party is trying to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. The number of migrants who've died trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea from Africa to Europe has more than doubled since last year. The International Organization for Migration says more than 1,100 people lost their lives in the first 6 months of this year. Imogen Foulkes reports from Geneva.
The maritime routes from Africa to Europe are among the riskiest in the world. The International Organization for Migration says insufficient search and rescue operations by European countries and obstruction of non-governmental organizations trying to rescue people are contributing to the soaring death toll. Most concerning of all, the official death toll is very likely an underestimate. The IOM has received hundreds of reports of undocumented shipwrecks in which many more people are likely to have died.
The Cuban government has said that a man died and many people were injured during a clash between protesters and the security forces in the capital Havana. This is the first death confirmed since the mass protests began on Sunday. Here's Leonardo Rocha.
The authorities said the man who died was part of a group who attacked a government facility in La Guinera neighborhood on Monday. Witnesses dispute that account of the incident. They say members of the group were brutally attacked by the security forces after joining a spontaneous protest. Cuba's President Miguel Díaz-Canel has blamed mercenary groups supported by the US for the unrest. Dissident groups say more than 100 people have been detained in the past few days, including high-profile journalists and artists.
4 Iranian nationals have been charged at a court in New York with conspiring to kidnap an American journalist in the city. The US Justice Department described the 4 as Iranian intelligence officials. It said the court indictment also charged them with fraud and money laundering. World news from the BBC. The deployment of hundreds of troops in South Africa has failed to prevent a 5th day of violent unrest and looting. At least 72 people have been killed and about 800 have been arrested since protests erupted in response to the jailing of the former president, Jacob Zuma. The US State Department has condemned the detention in Venezuela of one of the main opposition figures, the former National Assembly member Freddy Guevara. A spokesman in Washington described the arrest as unjust and reprehensible. Mr. Guevara was charged on Monday with terrorism and treason. The former boss of Nissan, Carlos Ghosn, has expressed concern about Japan's legal processes, which he described as a hostage justice system. In his first broadcast interview from exile in Lebanon, Mr. Ghosn told the BBC he would not have been given a fair trial if he'd stayed in Japan, where he'd been charged with financial misconduct. He said the justice system was biased.
I think this tragedy is attracting the attention on a system which, frankly, not a lot of people realized. When you have a prosecutor winning in 99.4% of the cases, when you have no right to a lawyer, I feel sorry about the thousands of people who are going through the system and who are being crushed.
A US gun company is facing a backlash after making a real pistol that looks like a children's toy made of Lego. The firm, Culper Precision, described the weapon in an advert as a childhood dream come to life. The Danish toy maker has written to the firm demanding that it stop producing the weapons, which are covered in what look exactly like Lego bricks. Gun control campaigners described the pistol as sick, warning that children could die. Accidents involving children and firearms are on the increase in the US. More than 140 people were killed in that way last year. BBC News.